The Bull Simons Award, named after the legendary Colonel Arthur Bull Simons, honors the spirit, values, and skills of the unconventional warrior. Tonight, we pay tribute to an individual whose contributions to the special operations community span every major conflict since the Second World War. There are few men whose knowledge and experience in special operations runs so deep that they inspire generations of warriors, men whose ethos and exploits echo through the halls of time. Major General Jumpin' Jack Singlaub is one of those select few.
I think he's as significant as anyone is to the creation of SOF, including Colonel Aaron Bank, who was also in the OSS, who was a good friend of his. I don't think there's anybody alive today who has a greater knowledge about the Special Operations Forces community, starting in World War II all the way to the present. I mean, he was there every step of the way. So the depth of his knowledge and experience is unmatched.
Go to the sound of the cannon and solve the problem on the battlefield. Don't worry about your career. It'll take care of itself if you survive. A random round would come in and kill somebody here or within sight. How come they don't hit me, or why am I safe? And the answer was always, well, you've got an important job in the future.
The Jedburghs were special operations commandos, and these were operatives who were parachuted into occupied France to help organize and supply resistance elements behind enemy lines. They fought covert warfare operations against the Germans. They fought counterintelligence operations against the Germans.
It was understood by the Jeds and anybody who went behind enemy lines in the OSS that if you were captured, you were likely to be tortured and killed.
Every day, the Luftwaffe would come and bomb us. I sent a message to London complaining about this, and I got an answer back a day later saying, according to you, you're receiving more air attacks than the forces that landed in Normandy, which of course was true, because the forces that landed in Normandy didn't land until after the Luftwaffe had been driven into the interior, and that's where we were. By early September, the Germans had left our department.
The amazing thing is that, these guys were willing to do it and jump out of an airplane into the night, not knowing what to expect when they landed on the ground.
So that's when I volunteered to go to China, so I wouldn't miss that war.
In Asia, the OSS performed heroic operations in Burma and in China.
At the end of the war, the OSS was concerned that the Japanese were going to murder Allied prisoners of war, so they mounted what were called mercy missions.
And they asked if I would volunteer to take a rescue mission to rescue the prisoners on Hainan Island.
And General Singlaub's mission was called, I believe, the Pigeon Mission.
I would like to take the job, but I'd like to be able to select my own people.
I was impressed with the fact that he had made 2 operational jumps into France already with his radio operator, Tony Deno.
First I saw him, I thought he's very brave and can sacrifice.
I was giving parachute training, jump training, to the 4 members of my team that had never jumped before.
I didn't know what to expect, and I don't think anybody else did either. Well, you just have to play it by ear.
Everybody is silent and doesn't talk until we got the destination.
Well, we jumped and all landed on the drop zone.
The Japanese came and surrounded us.
I had a very unstable situation there with these guys very belligerent coming out, platoon deployed ass skirmishers and bayonets fixed coming toward us.
You're always wondering what's going to happen and whether Japanese being not always the kindest sort of people, might be unkind to us.
My interpreter and I stepped out a little bit, and I told tell the lieutenant to move his troops over to the other side, and he continued to come. And I said, tell him again louder. And so he said, the major says.
So they knew and understood what power was.
We got into the camp that day.
He parachuted without any weapons and convinced the Japanese to release over 400 Allied prisoners of war.
From day one, when we made the jump in until we got those people on the train headed south, things got ironed out, things got done, and it was Jack who was doing it.
There are a lot of correlations between the OSS operator of World War II and the modern Special Operations Force operator. The two share the same heritage.
General Johnson, who was then the Chief of Staff of the Army, called him in and said that, Jack, we're looking at improving the unconventional, the special ops posture in Vietnam.
He said, well, I've looked over your records, and I've looked over records of a lot of other people, and I think you're the best qualified for SOCOM. And do you have any questions? I said, no, sir. I will now get excited about my new assignment.
He believed in the small team concept and to remain on the target for as long as you could, so you can drive these people crazy, the enemy, as they move from north to south. They're the people that have to move. We're the people that are going to sit there and ambush them. Let them move around you and then take advantage of a lapse in their thought process and kill them.
He was open to all kinds of ideas to make a mission better.
He brought stature to it. He brought professionalism to it. He brought in people that knew what they were doing and that knew exactly how to do it, and I think had a very great effect on the war.
When he made a decision, it permeated all the way down the line real fast, and people knew that it came from him, his desires.
And it grew up tenfold while he was there. He made noise and people listened at McV level.
He's the quintessential soldier's soldier, and he's the essence of what one of our monikers is, the quiet professionals of Army Special Forces, and he certainly exudes that.
Essentially what you've got with Jack Singlaub is that living bridge, that man who was part of the birth of modern special operations and whose career spanned the special operations evolution to the truly modern era where we are today, and that's what Jack Singlaub represents.
He did a lot with respect to extraction. He did a lot with respect to tactics. He did a lot with respect to organization. All those things he brought into special ops. But the major thing he brought to special operations, apart from those things that you can say, pick and, and put a price tag on, was the spirit of doing what was required to do, doing it well, and accomplishing a mission regardless of the odds.
With the current generation of special operators, of course, they know who he is. They know who this man, General Jack Singlaub, is and what he represents.
I can guarantee you that there's been no more active or engaged retired special operations general officer in the last 15 years that's come back and given more of his own time and personal energy to train and teach and mentor these younger generations of special operations forces.
He did what was right. He did what was good. He did what was required. He didn't care much about who got the credit.
And he has lived it, he's seen what special forces and special ops can, should, and will do.
His driving focus has been what is good for the force, what do we need to do, and how do we take care of our men and women who serve this great country in special operations. And those are the traits that we hope to live up to, that he so embodied, that we try to live up to today.
The most important quality that you have and will need in this Army is something you brought with you. We can't teach you integrity, but that's the most important quality. I get great pleasure out of doing something that hasn't been done, that needs to be done, and benefits the country. I certainly didn't believe that I would ever make general. I didn't believe that I would live the probabilities that I would survive the kind of business I was in, I thought were very low. Find the problems and go and solve them. And I think that I've solved a lot of problems.
Ladies and gentlemen, this year's Bull Simons Award recipient, Major General John Singlaub.